39 stores are leaving New York City because it... Dude, is this video real? Like, what the hell? 39 stores are leaving New York City because of theft?
The NYPD is looking for several suspects in a drugstore burglary pattern.
Police say the suspects were involved in 8 different incidents where they tried to break into pharmacies by breaking their glass doors or rolling down those heavy security gates.
That would make sense.
Great, just what we need. A new robbery pattern targeting pharmacies in New York, many of which are having problems staying open. With Walgreens, CVS, and Rite Aid closing a combined 40 locations in 2024 alone, leaving New York with about half the number of pharmacies it had just 10 years ago. Before our leaders thought it would be a good idea to stop sending thieves to jail where they belong.
We've spoken to several managers at various drugstores around New York City. Though none would go on camera, all tell us they've seen an increase in thefts.
Millions of dollars in
I wonder
stolen
why
goods
they won't go
seized
on
in
camera.
Queens and put on display for the cameras.
There's this huge problem that people think that it's okay to steal shit. And they view it's like I think that there's like a huge difference between somebody stealing like diapers and somebody stealing like fake eyelashes. I do. I think it's totally different, right? Like cosmetics, yeah. What is this? A TV? Yeah. No, what about piracy? Piracy isn't good, but there's no zero-sum environment. Like, theoretically, everybody could have a copy of, I don't know, Gladiator, and it wouldn't affect anybody's copy of Gladiator. So it's totally different situation. Piracy is totally different.
The thieves had an eye for cosmetics, beauty products, designer clothing, and accessories.
Yeah, we're not talking about stealing, like, milk and diapers. Baby formula?
The shoplifting concerns are part of a growing trend in the city, but due to current laws, many of those arrested were released back on the streets to do it again.
This man just came
love
in,
how,
grabbed
like,
a whole bunch of makeup.
I love how they have catch and release. You know, the only other time I've ever heard of the word catch and release or the term is with fishing. Like, these people, they think they're fucking sardines or something. Yeah, what is this?
Stuff that was on the side and just ran out. Security tried to stop him, but he was already gone.
Rafael and Sean Martez have been getting their prescriptions filled at this Walgreens for at least a year. They believe shoplifting played a role in the store's closure.
They have it locked up because sometimes they get boosters that come in there and steal their stuff.
I don't know if they're stealing it from here or they're stealing it from another place to sell it.
Booster, big surprise. It's just people that steal shit.
Here.
These plexiglass screens and all these other inconveniences creates additional friction, and friction is the death of retail.
And it's like nothing is being done.
So do you feel like it's getting bolder?
Yeah, it definitely is getting bolder.
To me, I would say that having to speak to an employee to get something out of a shelf is a huge deterrent for me wanting to shop at that store. I honestly, the reason why I don't want to talk to a lot of people, I just want to go to the store and I want to get something. And it's really annoying. It wastes my time. It's inconvenient. I don't want to interact with anybody. That's it. So American? Really? I mean, I don't know. I feel like... And I think also there's like the component of it where there's like an implicit expectation that you're a thief. And so I think that people don't like... Maybe I'm the only person that feels this way. I think people don't like that you're like... pre-categorized as a person who would have been a thief, basically.
So, nearly half of New York City's drugstores have disappeared over the last decade as retail theft continues running rampant. But what nobody's talking about is all of these pharmacy closures. They're happening 1 year after our leaders promised to get tough on shoplifting, a promise many businesses are still waiting for them to keep. And sadly, if you walk through any pharmacy in town, you'll be greeted with all the signs that the high crime environment afflicting our stores is here to stay. With
Yeah, we have this at Walmart. Like you have, I mean, now they got underwear behind these things. Like, I told that story about underwear 2 or 3 times. I'm not going to tell it again, but like, I mean, it's hair coloring and underwear. That's it.
throughout New York locking up their products because here we won't lock up our criminals. Because stealing here's been decriminalized, making New York a breeding ground for professional criminals who take things that aren't theirs and then sell them on the internet or on the side of the street somewhere. Perpetually funding illegal retail arbitrage businesses that will exist as long as shoplifting here remains a non.
It's also a good point is that when somebody steals something and then they resell it, that also takes away, like, effectively 2 sales from the company. Because, like, if you buy it from somebody who stole it, well, not only did the person take the inventory away from you, you also didn't secure another sale as well. It's really bad.
Available misdemeanor, provided it's peaceful shoplifting that doesn't escalate to a physical altercation with another person. As for some reason, our criminal sympathizer leaders don't think destroying security barriers or cutting security tags counts as violent behavior. And that brings us to the real reason why New York is losing so many pharmacies, leaving many neighborhoods without...
I don't know how you could say that's not violent behavior. Anytime that you destroy or alter property in a way that's malicious, it's obviously violence. Like, I would say that, like, I mean, don't you define violence by, like, it's basically malicious physical action, right? Yeah. Behavior involving physical force intended to hurt, damage, or kill someone or something. Yeah, okay. So, yeah. Not an object? No, it's a thing. Yeah, I mean, that's what the dictionary says, right? And so, I don't know what else to say.
A viable alternative to get things like prescription medication or everyday basic items. Many of these businesses are already struggling for a variety of reasons, and as retail theft continues to creep up, it erodes whatever was left in the store's margins, leaving them no choice but to shut down.
Ooh.
Something Walgreens alone did 22 times last year, leaving it with just 189 locations left in New York.
I love
However,
how the
as you're
only
about
thing
to
that's
see,
left
retail
is
theft
water.
isn't just a problem.
Like, if you go back and you look at it, like, it's just water. People stole all the sodas. Maybe people don't like cranberry juice that much. Yeah, Walgreens is on lockdown, boys.
For pharmacies that end up closing, it also raises the cost of living for every New Yorker, even those who already buy everything online from places like Amazon. Revealing that as criminals loot and destroy these businesses, they're actually destroying New York City itself.
People try to make the distinction between how violence is defined in the eyes of the law and not the eyes of the dictionary. That may be different. They are interpreting what that means themselves. They are the ones that are inventing what the law says. You can't make an argument to authority when you're the one that's the authority.
So New York City has obviously got a lot of former retail storefronts that have been shut down. But if you want to see what out-of-control retail theft is really doing to the city, take a look at the stores that are still open. Like this one, where pretty much everything is locked up behind plexiglass, except for low-demand products nobody's buying right now in New York, like sunscreen. Look at this. Even the picture of the product that is here. So
Damn, we are this far? So they don't even have it locked up. They have a printing. Oh my God. I've never seen something this fucking ratchet before. This is amazing. Not only is it locked up, but it's only a picture of it that's locked up. Wow. Yeah, it's an NFT, yeah.
Don't steal the actual product. Right. Even it's locked up, so you don't steal the picture. But on top of all this in-store security, you'll also see something else, a blinking camera array on top of this CVS with flashing lights meant to scare criminals into thinking the police could be inside, or at least watching. But sadly, none of this security is having the intended effect because our stores are still shutting down.
It's terrible what's going on.
Rafael and Sean Martez have been getting their prescriptions filled at this Walgreens for at least a year. They believe shoplifting played a role in the store's closure.
I have seen it happen right in front of my face. This man just came in, grabbed a whole bunch of makeup stuff that was on the side, and just ran out. Security.
So, as you can tell from all this security plastic, these places are getting robbed constantly, sometimes right in front of paying customers. And look at all the cracks around this product blocker here on this tide. It's almost as if somebody...
Yeah, I mean, you're not gonna try to fucking go and fight somebody over this. Like, I mean, if I was at a store and I saw somebody stealing something, if I could, I would maybe report them, but I sure as hell wouldn't try to stop them. I sure as hell would not. Like, absolutely, I don't want to deal with that. That's not my problem. I don't work there. Fuck that. Shoot them. Nah, you can't shoot people like that. I mean, maybe the store can, but yeah, that's it.
But he tried to tamper with this and break through it to get at the products underneath. And before we get into the unstoppable proportions this crime wave has now reached, look at who the real victims are from all this stealing. Now, of course, the store itself is a victim of crime, obviously, but the people who live near a place like this, they're the ones that suffer the most, because after a store like this is gone, where do they go to get the things they need and have relied on buying from it on a weekly basis?
Apparently
and
not
what
there.
about the people that work
That
at a
guy,
place like this? Once it's gone, where are they going to work?
This is one of the big issues that I think a lot of people have. It's, yeah, he's like, where the fuck, yeah, not there. And I think that there's another big issue is that a lot of people, they try to play this off as it's like kind of, oh, well, it's because people that are minorities get, you know, like get targeted by this more often. I think in poor areas, like, you're going to have more theft. I think that just makes sense. And if there's more minorities there, then yeah, that would be true. But when you have more theft and you don't have it, like, controlled, it hurts all of those people. Like, those are, like, the entire minority group that those thieves are a part of are all negatively affected by it. And it's kind of like what I was saying before about how it's like performative empathy, where it's like, oh, well, we're trying to help, you know, these minorities and we don't want to have them be unfairly targeted by police. But what I don't think that they realize is that by not giving these people in these communities the ability to like control their own stores, they have the stores leave, people lose jobs, and it just gets worse for everybody. Is it unfair? I think that there's definitely cases where police officers are racist and interactions happen with a person that is non-white or a white person. It could be a racist black officer towards a white person too. But like, I think I'm sure it happens, but it's not like you can't base everything off of that. These people care about their own community. They care about the effects. Well, what a lot of it is, I think, is that these people don't care about many of the people that are the biggest proponents of allowing people to steal things out of stores don't live in places where people are stealing things out of stores, unless they're the ones that are doing the stealing. So in a lot of cases, what happens is that it's these, you know, in general, like ivory tower, upper middle class, gated community people that are trying to dictate to these lower working class people that, no, it's actually good that you can steal things out of stores without realizing the second order effects of what that stealing causes. And that's what I was saying before about like the selfish altruism or like performative empathy, and about how doing it in order to make yourself feel good or sound good ends up hurting other people.
Oh, yes, every time a store like this shuts down over crime, the brand always says that they'll do everything they can to redeploy their workforce to other locations. Of
course they will.
But that just hurts everybody, because now the people who work at those other locations are going to have less hours because there's now a surplus of workers.
Yeah.
If the workers that were at a store that closed can even...
And it's also like if you're a worker there, so like if you assume that, like, let's just use a little bit of logic here, right? I mean, for like, who's ever done logistics for a company or for an organization or for anything before? Let's say you have 6 workers. Each worker is allocated to be active 80% of the time or 90% of the time. If you are working at capacity, because it's logical that you would not overhire, you would probably want to have the closest percentage of employees to work as possible, right? That's why, for example, Taco Bell doesn't hire as many people to be working at 3 a.m. versus 3 p.m., just as a random example. And so now what this does too is it makes it to where the employees are now getting stretched even thinner because they've already got 2 jobs that they have to do, right? They have to maybe maintain a store area, and they have to also check people out. Like this happens at Walmart. How many of you guys have been at Walmart and there's one person working the electronics section and you have to wait for this person to talk to 2 other people to ring somebody up, and then they have to go and unlock the thing out of the jewel case, right? All the time. Yeah, exactly. And so, like, what does that cause? That means that that worker doesn't have as much time to rest. It's more strenuous on them, and it's more difficult for the workers in general. Yeah, dude's busy as hell. Yeah, exactly. Like, you don't even have like a moment or two to rest, because you guys know, like, I don't know. I mean, I've only had like really 2 jobs my whole life that are like like streaming, but most jobs, like, you're not working 8 hours straight. You're working for like maybe 10 minutes, and then you stop and you like recalibrate, and then you do something else for 10 minutes, and then you do something else, right? There's going to be like intermissionary periods. The fact is that now, not really. I think so. I mean, yeah, of course, right? It's like, for example, like you finish a task, and then you have to submit your task, and then you have to go get the next task, logically, right? And so all the time that happens, you're going to have transit time with anything. It's travel time, effectively. And no cool on this one? No, I think so. Not anymore. They min-maxed it. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure that I'm sure that there's some jobs this isn't the case for. But I think in a lot of cases, it's very regular to have small intermissionary periods while you're working of maybe a couple of minutes until you do the next task. And what I'm saying is that situations and systems like this remove those intermissionary periods, or they make them smaller. And that way people don't have as much time. Social services? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's going to be downtime.
Get to whatever location they've been redeployed to. But even if the workers can get to the new...
True as fuck. Yeah, of course, right? I mean, yeah. And also, like, logically, you would have to have downtime, because almost no work is completely synchronously the exact same performance the entire time. So you're going to have ups and downs, right? And so what I'm saying is that these downs, there's a lot less of them if you have to do all these other activities.
Location, so can the criminals. In fact, they ride around on the subway here for free because we don't care about fare evasion either. And that's the real problem here, because if customers need a new store to shop at and workers need a new store to work at, criminals, they're going to need a new store to steal from, and everybody's going to end up at whatever store is still hanging on. And hanging on is definitely the best way to describe it after one Upper East Side pharmacy closed.
People do not like lawn chairs, apparently. Yeah, there you go.
Surviving locations said that they were getting robbed once an hour. And as you're about to see, closing stores is not going to put a stop to New York City's theft problems at all. In fact, it's only going to make it worse.
Another guy, while he was chasing him, stole candy.
And it's like nothing is being done.
So do you feel like it's getting bolder?
Yeah, it definitely is getting bolder.
Walgreens said only economic headwinds are making it too difficult to cover.
So the reason it seems like theft is getting more out of control and thieves are getting bolder and more brazen is because they have to. You've got the same number of criminals, but now you've got fewer stores to steal from. Like this CVS right here. Its theft problems definitely got worse after the Walgreens, which was across the street, shut down. When that happened...
This is like what happens when I remember people tell me this. It's like when I go offline, the roaches scatter. And like people will be like, yeah, so like I started getting a lot of sexist. Why do they keep telling me stop talking? Why is this dishwasher talking? Why are they saying this? Oh, Asmon went offline. Oh, okay. Yeah, no, that makes sense.
And any crime that was taking place split between the 2 stores now all has to happen at just one store.
You?
And you can tell from the lack of rust and dings in the paint on these cabinets that many of them are a recent installation here. And not only are many of these aisles completely walled off on both sides, you've also got that blinking security camera. The store's literally doing everything it can to deter crime. And that's because any surviving store is under more pressure now than it's ever been. And there's no way out from any of this.
Well, it's like if there's 100 thieves in 100 stores, people are probably going to steal from one store, right? Not everybody's going to steal everything from the same store, because then you're going to run out of stuff. Like if you were stealing and everybody was stealing out of the same McDonald's or the same Walgreens, and you keep showing up with your bag and then all the expensive stuff is gone, you're going to say, fuck this, I want to go to the other Walgreens. right? Let's be honest, right? I mean, yeah, you're going to go to the other Walgreens, like, fuck that. And so, but if there's only 10 Walgreens, you got to deal with 10 thieves in each one. The DoorDash table gets raided a lot. Bro, if you are down bad so much that you have to be raiding the DoorDash table, like, how do you get there? I work in loss prevention, and the high shrink loss stores will intentionally overstock to keep a product available for customers. They surplus those stores not only to keep them in stock, but also to pad numbers. Good. Well, I need to start stealing peppered beef jerky then. Because I go to the store and they have every kind except for the kind I want. And I'm tired of it, man. It's pissing me off.
Unless, of course, laws were to be passed that made crime again. But since that's not happening, every single thing you see here are the last moves of a store that probably won't be here for.
You got to remember Listerine. Well, we played that game, right? The mouthwashing game. It's bad. It's real bad.
Forever. But you know, the real problem is all of this product security. It doesn't just deter thieves, it also deters customers.
These plexiglass screens and all these other inconveniences that are added to customers who are simply there to make a purchase creates additional friction, and friction is the death of retail.
Walgreens.
He's completely fucking right. Absolutely. Perfectly stated.
Said in a statement.
Friction is the death of retail. He's 100% right. And if it takes longer to buy things in a physical store, less people are going to put up with that. But it's not just the inconvenience factor that's a big deal here. All this security costs money. It's not free, because every time somebody wants to buy something, they need a human to help them get it. And that costs money. And that money.
Well, see, this is... A lot of people don't understand, like, allocation of time and, like, time management skills and optimization of those skills. So every employee's output is going to be min-max to the highest percentage that the company can realistically put it at, right? That's what you guys are saying, obviously. So this now is like, let's say an employee is operating at 95% efficiency. If this increases the amount of work they have to do by 10%, now they're over efficiency, and now a new employee has to be hired, or the quality of service goes down. So it actually makes everything cost more money. And like, this is one thing that, like, so... All right. This is a WoW analogy. One thing that I would fucking hate about gold guides, I would hate this so much. There would be two things I hated. Number one, gold guides that were made with no context of supply and demand. Number one. Number two, or price and demand, wherever you want to look at it, depending on the product, right, or the item. Another thing is that gold guides that do not take into account travel time, transit time, reset time, loading time, ready time, cooldown time, and everything else. All of these things you need to itemize and figure out how much each of these individual little things take, and then multiply it over 8 hours, and you will see that, let's say, if every employee, think about it like this. If you have, what would be the math for this? You don't have 16 employees, but let's say you had 16 employees, and every single employee worked 8 hours a day, and 30 minutes of that day need to be dedicated in order to like unlock things. Now you need to hire an entire new employee in order to maintain the same level of efficiency. Crazy.
It can only come from one place. Just look at the price of this deodorant. It's absolutely expensive, almost $20, when a 3-pack of the exact same stuff costs $23 on Amazon right now. That's crazy. And if prices are going up and convenience is going down, what reason is there to even shop in a physical store anymore? You'd literally
that's actually, he brings up a really good point, and I think that's what that Indian guy was saying on the video, is that basically these stores are already losing a lot of market share to things that are more convenient, like Amazon Prime. And so now when you add this extra barrier to entry, it makes it even easier for people to transition over to somewhere else. That's it. Amazon has this for $3. Well, not only do they have it for $3, they also have it with Amazon comes to my house. Yeah, it's delivered directly to your door. You don't have to pay shipping because you have Amazon Prime. And if there's a problem, usually you can return it. It's annoying, kind of, but yeah. They send it to your fat ass? Yeah.
Have to be desperate for some overpriced item and need it immediately for some sudden purpose to even go into one of these places. But if things are 3 times the price of what you can get them for on the internet, people are going to change their habits, and most people
And that's
are.
also another big issue, is that the prices on the internet are not amortized, or like they're not factored into the entire price of like the value, right? Because like if you're selling things on the internet, you're not factoring in shrink in the same way. Shrink is stealing in the same way that you would be than if you have a retail store inside of New York City. It's just like it's making it to where these stores basically can't fucking exist other than being loot boxes. Yeah.
They're willing to wait a couple of days to get their dryer sheets. Just order your dryer sheets ahead of time. That way you don't have to run out and then come into a store and pay more than you'd pay on the internet.
Exactly.
However, the internet is a double-edged sword because it's both the cure for in-store theft and the cause of in-store theft in many cases. Because although you can't steal these cleaning products from Amazon as it's online, someone else could steal them from a place like this and then resell them back to you. And that is the whole reason stores like this, no matter how well guarded they are, may not have a whole lot of time left, at least in this city.
I think that's true. I think that right now we're in like a transitionary period, and Amazon already has stores that function this way. I think the future of retail stores are going to be places where you can go inside. Like, I think that there's going to be a trend, like right now, like, you know how like McDonald's is moving away from a lot of customer service and a lot of the McDonald's experience to become a much more corporate min-maxed system, right? Like, I feel like anybody can see that. So I think that's going to keep going, and that's going to keep going for maybe like 10 more years, right? Maybe 15 more years. But what I think is going to happen after that is that there's going to start to begin and it's already happening, but it will be it'll be at like a crisis point, right? Or like a crossover point of like where at that point you're going to have more people. I was thinking about 3 different things at the same time. I totally forgot what I was going to say. Let me scroll up and read what chat was saying as responding to what I was saying. Automated, right? And so anyway, these stores, there's going to be a growing demand for people. I disconnected. And there's going to be a growing demand for people to have in-store customer service. And that's why, like, for example, and this is like a really, really weird abstract example, but hopefully you guys can appreciate it. Do you know this scene in John Wick where he goes in to buy the suit and he's talking directly to the guy, and then he's talking directly to the suit maker, and then he's talking directly to the guy that makes the guns? People like that type of in-person personal service, right? And it's seen as, oh, wow, this guy's a fucking G. So, like, the idea is that this is a high-value, high-status type of service. And regardless of whether it's selling you a machine gun or selling you, a machine toy gun, it doesn't matter. It's the same thing. And so the point is that I think that after about 15 years or so, we're going to see a resurgence of retail stores that have actual customer experience people there that are designed to kind of help you with your purchase. And you see a little bit of that now with like luxury stores. Like if you ever go inside of, how many of you guys have ever been inside of like one of these like stupid overpriced stores like Armani or whatever? They'll immediately have somebody on you. Maybe the reason why is because they saw me and they were like, oh, yeah, watch him. Make sure he doesn't do anything. He's not going to, don't let him shit on the, if that's the guy from last week, don't let him shit on the floor again. Yeah, so they have no idea, right? And anyway, so you're going to see a growing resurgence in demand for like the customer experience, I think in 10 to 15 years, to an extent that it will be met by a retail store that ends up making profit because of it. But what I think we're going to transition to a lot more of right now is that we're in like this weird middle ground where we have a tremendous amount of technology, but we don't have the technology calibrated in a way that's efficient. And so you're seeing Amazon, and there's also certain places in the EU that do this as well, that automatically charge you based off of the objects that you walk out of the store with, and you walk into the store with an amount of money, right? Like on a card. That was fake. Well, if it was fake, it's going to be real. Like, do you really think that that's not going to happen? Because, like, I can guarantee you it's going to happen. That's the smartest and most efficient way of doing it, and I guarantee you that there are billions of dollars being invested right now at this very moment into making that a reality. It does, but it's rare. Exactly. But eventually it won't be. And so anyway, Pilot Store, yeah. It was just some people in India charging whenever you're there. Yeah, well, either way, that's what I think is going to happen. And that's going to be the future of retail stores. At least in
so
like
this right here behind
in like
me
the
is
short term.
Probably the most
No way, you guys don't think so?
Walgreens
Okay.
in the entire city. Not only does it have security cameras, but we're in a brand new train station, which is being patrolled by National Guard troops. And exits are limited. You can't just run out of this place right through this massive front door and then be on the street. No, you're still in.
It's crazy how much more civilized things are when there's any authority there. Like you see the National Guard posted up. Maybe you're not going to steal those Cheetos. You leave them on the rack. Nope. Not today.
A facility which is being...
And this is another component, too, is that a lot of people think that criminals are like these like stupid animals that can't figure out what's going on and they just can't control themselves. Most criminals make conscious decisions to minimize risk. And that's the reason why, and I bet a lot of places, like, people probably be less likely to break into a house if the person owning in the house can't own a gun.
But even though you'll see a few more free-range products on the shelves of this particular store compared to the CVS we were just in, there is still a lot of progressive plexiglass in here,
These
that's
are
for
also
sure.
professionals?
Because sadly, even a place like this is not immune to theft.
As long as there are resale markets that are not held accountable for the sale of stolen goods, then this kind of conduct is only going to get worse.
Here's how it works. A criminal network hires an individual or crew called boosters. After robbing a retailer, they turn over the stolen goods to someone waiting nearby called a fence. The fence then takes the haul to a home or warehouse where a cleaner removes anti-theft devices or marks.
So there's a couple angles to this online retail theft component. The first angle is that it makes it very easy for anybody to say that they have a product and to list it for sale and to offload it. And the second problem is that these companies like Amazon benefit whenever something is sold on their site. They take a cut. And some people say that's why they aren't doing more to get rid of illegal products from their sites. However, even though Amazon and eBay benefit from the sale,
I think the woman is totally misguided, and her fixation on Amazon not blocking these people. It's impossible to block people that are doing this. These are not like, I mean, if you want to talk about like them being Walgreens exclusive items, this is just them trying to leverage this issue to lower the credit of Amazon because they view Amazon as a competitor. They're not actually looking at solving this problem. They're just looking at a way to badmouth their competitor.
of anything, no matter where it's from. It's not the fault of these sites that New York has a massive retail theft problem. A problem which is so bad we've even got to lock up our ice cream with a massive padlock. Look at the size of this thing. Now, of course,
They got the drumsticks on the lock. Oh my God.
can't sell ice cream online, but there's another place you can sell it in New York City, which is why this stuff, too, is locked up.
This is
revealing
ridiculous.
that it is not the fault of the internet alone that New York has a $4.4 billion shoplifting economy. But before we get into the other ways stolen products are offloaded in this city that is unique to it, it's important to understand that even if Amazon stamped out every illegal listing on their entire site, this stuff, it would still get taken and it would still end up somewhere else because people who steal want money. And even though Amazon and eBay probably should be doing more to keep the sale of illicit goods from taking place on their platforms, the real problem is places like New York aren't doing enough to stop criminals.
It's impossible for them to stop doing that. I mean, obviously, yeah, I mean, it's like what he's saying is common sense, but these are all methods of reduction and nothing is going to make it stop happening
from taking things in the first place. Here's an example of a serial shoplifter with over 100 arrests. How is this even allowed to happen? How is somebody allowed to commit 100 crimes and still be walking around on the streets? And how are we supposed to expect this person to learn something the 101st time they get arrested that they didn't learn the other 100 times? We're not, and criminals like this are the real reason New York has an out-of-control crime problem. Now, that doesn't mean Amazon is innocent. After all, the more products that are locked up in stores, the more people who will just go online to buy from them.
Exactly.
But the reality here is that in New York, you've got a lot of places to offload something that you took and want to resell, and the city's not doing anything about it.
Millions of dollars in stolen goods seized in Queens and put on display for the cameras. The thieves had an eye for cosmetics, beauty products, designer clothing.
The defendants utilized social media, Instagram, and other online resources.
What a surprise. I mean, of course you're going to do that. I mean, that's the smart stuff to steal. Yeah, they're going to steal that because they make the most money off of it. Yeah, it's simple. Makeup is expensive. Yeah, makeup is really expensive for sure. I'm from Brazil, and up until a few years ago, we always dreamed about the U.S. and always complimented U.S. citizens were so right about being exposed, self-checkout. Things have changed too fast. The problem is that it's become a politically charged issue that prosecuting people for stealing is like, it's like a political thing. I think that there's like a lot of issues that have become politicized that I don't think that they should be politicized. Like, for example, like police brutality, police violence, body cams, stuff like this, like shoplifting, homelessness, etc. Like these are issues that are really not political issues, but they've been like basically polarized to where like people that are on like one side of an issue, like also usually are part of like an entire group of people.
To advertise for the stolen goods for sale, both here and for abroad.
So here we've got a multi-million-dollar crime ring, which was busted towards the end of last year. And they didn't just sell on Amazon. They sold on pretty much every website, Facebook, Instagram, you name it. And they also sold things physically here in New York and physically in other countries. Not to mention, you've also got people selling things on blankets on the sides of the road throughout New York. Police see this stuff happening. They walk right by. Nothing gets done about it. It's not even legal to do that without a license. And the sad reality is that New York is just such a big place with so many people living in it that anybody who's got that entrepreneurial spirit and zero morals and who also might not.
People do it. The reason why they do that is just simply because it makes money. And also, like, if you've been laying this stuff out and the police don't do anything to you for it, and you make money, then you're going to keep doing it. I mean, fucking obviously that's going to happen. Like, if you don't enforce a law, it doesn't exist. It's not like laws are not like the laws of physics, like gravity or like something like that. It doesn't like the speed of light. This isn't, they're not real. Like, we just made up the rule that you can't steal things. Like, there's no like, you know, law of physics that's preventing you from stealing the cold flu pack from Walgreens. So if you don't enforce the law, it doesn't exist.
not have the computer skills necessary to take pictures of stuff on their phone and then list it for sale on a website, they can make money in a number of ways. The first thing they can do would be to take the products they steal to somebody else who wants to sell them online. They could also unload them from a suitcase and sell them themselves if they want to. Or in the case of food, they could take this food to a nearby deli or bodega. That's why the ice cream is locked up. It gets stolen and then gets transported to another store where it then gets resold. This happens with clothes as well. There was a quote-unquote cosmetics store that was selling stolen goods from stores like Macy's, and it existed around the corner from Macy's in a physical location where customers...
Well, that makes sense, right? Because like you like that because if you want, that's smart. That's smart, yes, because if you put it right next to it, you're going to see people that see the other two. They're like, all right, well, fuck, let's just go over there. Seems profitable, yes. Bro, yeah, genius economy there. Holy shit, steal it back? I guess so.
Could walk in and they had stolen items from pretty much every store, Macy's, Nordstrom's, all of it in their store, some of it with the same tags that it had on it in the store that it was taken out of. And when you hear about stuff like that, and then you go to a store like this and you see things like ice cream behind bars, and when you see the vans of products parked in middle-class neighborhoods that are like miniature shopping malls that can drive away when the police show up, the full reality of New York's predicament when it comes to theft starts to emerge. It's so big, no store can stop it. And we're at a point now where anything that can be stolen will be stolen and taken somewhere else for profit. And obviously none of this security is a deterrent whatsoever, because you can have as many police and as many National Guard troops as you want. A store like this in a well-guarded area, it's still gonna have to lock things up because criminals just don't care. They know that if they wait long enough inside the store, an opportunity will arise for them to take something that's not theirs and then run off. It's terrible. And right now we've got criminals with hundreds of arrests just wandering our streets looking for new opportunities to do the thing that they've done hundreds of times already. They're the reason.
This is the other thing, is like, most of the people that are probably stealing shit it's probably the same group of people. It's like, I wouldn't be surprised if the amount of people that are actually stealing, it's like 1,000 people that are probably doing this. And if you just take out like the top 1,000 or 2,000 highest offenders, you will probably cut this down by like 80 or 90%. Yeah, the 80-20 rule. Yeah, exactly. Because like you think about 100, like a lot of people have stolen something from a store once or twice. But 300 combined times between a handful of people, 100 times per person, that's crazy. You cut off the high offenders, and then also there's another effect that has, is that the people that would be the high offenders see that, and they say, oh, all right, never mind. 300 rookie. Yeah, this is a weird American problem. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what to say. My brother steals every day. Yeah, exactly, right? And so that's my point, is that the majority of this is probably happening from the same people that are doing it. If you just locked up the top, I'd say like 1,000 worst offenders, this problem would go down massively.
And a brand new Walgreens and a brand new train station still has to lock everything up, even though it's surrounded by people in full military dress. And is Amazon partly responsible for this? Absolutely. They gain new customers every single day. Somebody walks into a place like this and has to wait longer than they want to buy something that they know is already overpriced. But the reality here is that without new laws that criminalize crime once again in this city, more of our stores are going to shut down. More pharmacies this year will close, just like they did last year, and there will be even less places for people to buy basic things. And the quality of life for New Yorkers is going to go down, while the costs to live here go up as the remaining stores do even more to crack down on crime because our laws won't. What do you think about that? Should people who steal go to jail, or should we do something else? Let me know. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.
Yeah, obviously they should go to jail. I mean, it's not even a question. But I think also what they probably should do, like if I was the police, this is what I would do. I would work with I would find the most prolific people that are doing it, and I would probably give them a deal to commute part of their sentence if they can help work on methods of reduction to stop it from happening. Because a lot of them will instantly turn. Like, because these people, they're not like, a lot of these thieves, they're not like these evil people. Right? They're not like these demons or something like that. They're just taking advantage of a situation that's beneficial to them. That's all. They're taking advantage of a situation. Yes, some are. Oh, you don't work with them. But you look at the people that are reasonable. You figure out, okay, how are you doing it? How is it working? How can you help us fix this problem? Right? I feel like that's the smart thing to do. And imagine you steal something, you can only be judged when you're caught red-handed. What the fuck is this? Why doesn't Walgreens make Walgreens card that gives 90% cost reduction and bump the prices so stealing is over $5,000 and they can charge for larger crimes? Because that creates another piece of friction in retail where like now you have to have a card and it's a huge issue.
Okay.
And so that's the main reason why it didn't happen. Yeah, New York is fixing a situation with this. Again, where stop and frisk is jailing folks is going to come back. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it happened. No, this is not like hacking. Oh, they need to get their knowledge. Fuck them. I don't know. I think it's... like, a lot of the people that create systems that do stuff like this, they're not stupid. It's not like you can't figure it out at all. But it's better to at least get the leg up and at least start where they're at whenever you're figuring out how to make it stop happening. Yeah, I mean, there it is, some of them. Yeah, exactly. And I would try to find some of them and figure out, like, okay, why is this happening? And so, yeah, anyway, make stupid choices, but all of them are smart. So why does law exist? I don't know. And inflation counter. But yeah, I think it's a huge problem. And I feel like the more that it happens, what's going to end up happening is that you're going to see more stores that have, like, whenever I don't know, this is in like 2000 and like, if I go back to like 2010, for example, and I think back to 2010, almost nothing was locked up. Like the only thing at Walmart that was locked up was pretty much video games and like expensive electronics, like phones. And now if I go to Walmart, I would say 20% of the store is locked up. Yes. Oh, spray paint was locked up because people would get high with spray paint. Good point. Yeah, you're right about that. But yeah, this is it's how government works. Theft is okay in a high crime area because people elect high cross criminals. Well, I don't know about that. But games were only done because they were in the box too. Now they're not. Yeah, exactly. Scan receipt on exit? No, because the people don't really do good scans. That's the issue, is that they say they do. And then they're like, oh yeah, let's look at what the scan is. And it's like just basically nothing. It's like, oh yeah, did you buy? Yeah, all right, good. Like people have walked out with shit all the time. I remember bullets not being locked up in Walmart. Yeah, and now Benadryl is. Yeah, it's a crazy world. I guess New York is probably the worst example of it, or one of the worst examples. But I think it is going to keep getting worse.